So we had two Dutch bands, or two bands from Netherlands rather, before. Now we have a Dutch band that is really Dutch. I mean, we have Dutch musicians on stage. Rembrandt Frerichs, but he's nothing else, nothing like a restricted person to Dutch music. He played with Kayan Kalor and the likes, so he's very open-minded as well, as it is the case, as we talked about that before in the Netherlands. Rembrandt Frerichs Trio, that's next. Good luck and enjoy.
That's what I call perfect timing. Rembrandt Frerichs Trio live here at the All Digital Jazzahead in the ÖVB Arena. But there's also other music around Bremen without a live audience, but with a streamed audience. But actually, no, I shouldn't say it without a live audience, because we have the live audience of the Jakob Manz Ensemble concert right here with us. Uli Beckerhoff, 50% of the live audience is here with us. Uli, welcome, and thank you for coming back from that concert. How was it?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I know, yeah, I heard several times Jakob, really fantastic player, high energy, and the whole band is so fresh, so exploding from joy of playing. So it's fantastic, and I was more or less 50% of the audience, because one of the technicians was sitting close to me, and we really tried hard to clap hands to create an atmosphere. But it was not really possible. But the energy coming from the stage was amazing. I mean, we know as musicians, you know it also, that if there is coming back from the audience, it creates more. I thought probably they don't need more from. They have it within themselves.
Wow. Yeah, maybe they're already used to the situation, you know. And
yeah, this did not come to my head. That probably musicians get used to for streaming concerts. Having streaming concerts.
I mean, you know, somebody said to me that, you know, if you have a little child, a 4-year-old child, more than a quarter of their life has already been spent in and out of lockdowns with this pandemic. These musicians are, you know, early 20s and not even.
Yeah. But probably this is necessary.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was in that age, when they are around 20. Actually, it was enough when we played together in a rehearsal. Yeah. I mean, we played, as the jazz musician said, we played our ass off while rehearsing. There was no audience in the rehearsing room, and we did not need it, because we had so much energy. And I remember when I was even younger, when I was with my parents, so around 15, 16, with my parents in Italy, and when there was a word written with double Z,
yeah,
I think it's jazz. You know, paparazzi. It's jazz.
It might have every pizza parlor that you saw. It was jazz.
It was unbelievable. You know, and when I was even younger, when I heard ping pong balls, I immediately went, where are they? And I think this kind of curiosity and naivete, we say in German, is absolutely necessary. Then you don't need anybody to listen to. It's interesting, is it?
Yeah, it's absolutely interesting. I mean, it's obviously a plus, and you can feed off the audience, as you said. Yeah. But being able to create something, I mean, also we're living in the YouTube generation where people are used to seeing something on a screen, on a small screen, even on their phones. And there's so much at their fingertips. I mean, I remember a time when there was 3 television channels, and you were happy that late at night there was a little jazz, and then you were really disappointed if it was the wrong kind of jazz. But that was one night a week, maybe, you know? And now it's like every night it's an endless...
and you can have everything, every kind of music, at every time, anytime, everywhere. This is a problem, in a way, at least. I mean, I have this saying for myself that I need more energy to defend myself of information than getting informations.
I hear you. I do understand what you're saying, and that's why I like the fact at Jazzahead's past and future, you musicians came up with their CD, and that is something you listen to. I still do listen to it differently than a stream. You know, not a live stream. I think that is a different thing. But if I'm on a DSP, as they call it, you know, I tend to skip easier and go like, oh, maybe that intro is too long. Let me take the next one. You don't do that as readily, and even less so with a vinyl LP.
Yeah, and you know what? I did not listen so much to music as now in the pandemic. You know why? Because normally you have, being a member of a jury, you have to listen to hundreds of CDs and to make a decision, yes or no. But now, this is not there, and I have so many CDs like you get from everywhere, and then I put it on.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean the good ones, I hear totally, the complete CD. Sometimes we know we have listened too much to music that we know very fast whether it's a good one or not so. But as a musician, I know that even the not so good ones are done with passion of the musicians. This is something everybody forgets, especially professional listeners. You know, they immediately do that. And I see, well, might be not so interesting, but I feel that the musicians did their best.
Yeah, I agree.
What I do then also, when I have, especially German bands or musicians I know, when I hear something very good from them, I call them personally. I don't write an SMS. I call them personally to say how much I liked the CD and talking about how did you do it and why and when. Because this is for me the communication of what jazz means.
Yeah.
Even talking about from one musician to another. Or when we are talking, Peter is there, you are there, you know, and we might have a different taste. That does not matter.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for you saying all this, because we have with us a musician who was just live on stage, and I got to know him through Jazzahead, and he gave me his CDs, more than one, I'm sure, and I'm very happy to have him here with us. Rembrandt Frerichs, Uli, thank you so much.
Thank you. I had no time to listen to you because we had to talk
Later.
a little bit. Later. I know you very well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Rembrandt, welcome.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Just coming off stage, heated. It's such a weird environment. I mean, wow. So, yeah.
How was it for you?
Super strange. I mean, these kind of, it's a huge stage, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe people that watch don't see the whole, but I think Peter Schulze told me that normally it's like 14,000 people. The last concert we did before pandemic was in China and in Taiwan, where we played for 60,000 people. So it's very strange to have that before pandemic with all these people, and then now here the same hall but nobody. So wow, I still need to land a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean we were just talking about the fact that some musicians have sort of gotten used to playing for a stream and playing in their homes, because that's the reality right now.
But for us, this contrast couldn't have been bigger.
Yeah, of course.
Like before and now. This is one of the first things, well, I wouldn't say after the pandemic, but at least doing something again. You know? Yeah.
Especially if you have an artistic energy without an off switch. As I read on your website, which is certainly true for you. I mean, you've kept really, really busy, right?
Well, it's just that I think it's just how my mind works. It's like I discuss this with my wife sometimes, where she has this ability in her brain to switch it off and say like, now it's weekend or now we go on holiday. And myself, I get so much energy from these hidden moments. When you drive a car or when you're under a shower, that all of a sudden all these processes that are in your mind, they fall together, right? You hear something on the radio, or you play with colleague musicians, and these ideas just keep boiling in my head constantly. And sometimes it takes years before something gets off, you know, and that you play the idea which you had in mind. And sometimes it goes very fast. It's super unpredictable in my experience.
And that's why you're an improviser.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you learn to live with that unpredictability.
I think that's how my brain works, to be able to, exactly.
I found out something that I didn't know, and I was surprised because we met so many times at Jazzahead, and you feel like, oh, I've met him, you know, I know everybody, I know all of his records, but I didn't know you were researching Egyptian music in Cairo.
Well, when I was very young, right?
Yeah.
So I finished.
You were like 6 years old or something.
No, older. I went there when I was 17 and came back when I was 19. So I knew that I wanted to pursue music, you know, and but yeah, this is like it's well before 9/11, and like this is 1998, yeah, 97, something like this.
Yeah,
just for fun, right? Like a 17-year-old, I went into the world, and so it didn't have so much to do with music as it did with developing yourself as a human.
Yeah.
I mean, the experience I had then, coming from a Western background, I live in The Hague in the Netherlands. If you go to the Arabic world, for sure that's very different.
Yeah.
And now the same experience we have, like with this trio, which you just heard, we're on tour to India, Taiwan, China, Indonesia, Iran, all those places. So it's kind of good to bring along with me as a human the experience of really going somewhere else.
Yeah.
And not like today as a Dutch musician going to Germany or Switzerland or France, but really remote places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feed off of that energy as well, I assume, you know, I mean, especially how your mind works.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just imagine
it's a super cliche, huh? That music is this universal language, which we all say. But indeed, this feeling gets fed. There's one experiment piece we have, is actually from Johannes Brahms, a German classical composer. And we played it all over the world as an encore. And it was like amazing to feel how people from totally different cultural backgrounds reacted the same way. So this is from the Third Symphony, the third part. If we play this in our, let's say, Rembrandt Trio jazz version, it really didn't matter where we played this throughout the world, and that makes me think that it goes actually beyond cultures. It's more well, this super cliche. Music can be a universal language, so that like a Taiwanese audience who sees us for the first time, they are touched by this music, as would people here in Bremen in the Zendezaal be, but they will know that this is Brahms. Yeah. So yeah, it's a cliche, but true in my experience.
Well, that's why they're cliches, because there's at least a grain of truth.
Yeah, maybe.
I think. I mean, you mentioned Brahms, and obviously there's a lot of inspiration from classical music in your playing, but also, you know, from the Arabic world and from different world musics, so to speak. How can you escape inspiration? I mean, how can you be consciously selective of what inspires, or can you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, if you take Western harmony, like from Bach choralen, I have this book which has, I think, 341 Bach choralen, and I put it on the piano, and if you play it, this old German man who's not been here for 250 years, he really takes you by the hand and shows you amazing routes which you can take in music. So that's one strong inspiration, which doesn't go overnight. It's not like you play this Bach chorale now and tomorrow you play it on the concert. And likewise with the rhythms we play, first song we play tonight is what we in the West would call a 19/8 meter or rhythm. Yeah. And that element indeed comes from Middle Eastern music, which I like for its rhythmical aspect. But it took me many years of getting these rhythms into my system. You know, really many years of studying myself, also with the guys, with Vinsent and Tony. We rehearse every week. So if there's a concert or no concert, we're really what one would call a working band. And then we work on these things. So that here on Jazzahead, if you play, you can just throw it out and make it sound as if it just comes up. But I mean, it's something we thoroughly studied.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you still have that routine where you play together every week, even during the pandemic?
Even during the pandemic, I think a couple of weeks, of course, not like around March when it was really heavy in the Netherlands. But then after a while, the studio I have, we have some space. So, I mean, we could still rehearse. So I think in all, maybe 5-6 weeks, we didn't work together. And then afterwards, we tried to find ways. It's super important. Otherwise, this whole human-to-human energy disappears, you know. And I find it striking to feel myself that if you don't perform for live people, that's really the thing you want. You don't want to be playing for cameras or in your practice room, especially if you have the experience like we have with this group, that you know how nice it can be to play for so many different faces.
Yeah. And I mean, you've also played with a lot of the greats, you know, other great musicians. Michael Brecker,
Paolo Fresu, Kehan Kalhor, Hassan Alizadeh, Norma Winston, actually. From
and Chick Corea, there was a double bill.
Double bill in Ronnie Scott's in London. That was fantastic.
How was that? I mean, how did that come about?
Super nice. He was first and we came after, and it's a little bit like the BIM House. It's not a huge club.
Yeah,
I think it holds like 250 or 300 people. And the programmer of this place, he called me, and so he said, well, there's two choices for this international piano trio festival. Either you play August 1st together with Chick on one night, or you do August 4th or 5th. So I told him, I don't think we need to think about this. If it's possible to, I mean, share the same stage, same piano, almost the same set with Chick. It's incredible. So that was super nice, nice evening. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure there's many more memories, but we mentioned the classical world. You were commissioned to write a classical piece for musicians of the Concertgebouw.
Orchestra. Yeah. Super nice. Yeah. It's funny how, at least in my musical life, many of the things you would later say this is a highlight, one would not come up with yourself. You know what I mean? And this is one of those things where I know the Royal Concertgebouw Orchestra is one of the best orchestras in the world, I guess, together with Berlin and Wien, Vienna, probably. And this would never have popped my mind. But I play rather often in the group of the principal bassist of the Concertgebouw Orchestra. And I guess through these ways, it came about that they found out that I compose for classical groups. There was also a cello concerto of me premiered last fall. So yeah, it's kind of new direction, composing for bigger classical groups, where sometimes even I'm not on stage myself.
Yeah,
that's a new thing I wouldn't have come up with.
Yeah, I mean, Pat Metheny just did a similar thing where he composed classical guitar music for Jason Vio.
Yeah,
and he released an album where he's only playing an Arvo Pärt piece as a bonus track, and the rest is played by other. Is it a bit of a strange feeling? Do you want to kind of jump on stage and go like, no, that was...
No, I think the process is just different. It strikes me if, when I compose, I do it in my computer directly into the notation program. So, and deliberately, I do not do it at the piano. Because if I compose like a cello concerto, I want to avoid writing piano tricks, right? So I put it on the kitchen table, so I look into the garden, and I really try and follow what I hear and what I imagine, and directly put it into the computer. And this process I like so much. I mean, sometimes at 9 o'clock in the morning I would start, and at 5 I would be like, oh, I didn't even have lunch. So the creativity, I think, is the same, comes from the same brain, but then it's for these moments that you're composing, you're really just only busy with this. That's what I like very much. Because like playing here on Jazzahead, it's not so far, but you drive 4 hours from The Hague, testing every day, sound check yesterday night, hotel. So if you compare the amount of hours that we're busy for this, let's say 1 hour of activity, it's a yin-yang with composing. Because like if I have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, it's just creativity. So it's, for me it feels like a yin-yang within myself. Maybe that sounds vague, but yeah.
No, I mean, of course, you are a composer, you are a musician, but you're also a human being within that. And, you know, I remember a long time ago, a musician talking to me about the fact that oftentimes there were people saying, why do you need to be picked up at the airport? Why do you need a special room? Why do you need to check in early? And he said, well, I have to be on a stage with all my concentration after a 9-hour flight or a 3.5-hour drive. Yeah. And I need that. Yeah. And it's basically all for the better of the performance in the end.
And of the public.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we usually take 1 extra day indeed to land somewhere. And then that's not if we play Belgium, Germany or Switzerland. But indeed, a flight to Taiwan, it was like 11 hours. And then you do want to make sure when the festival plans it, that it's not like you have 1 hour of rest and you directly hit the stage. Because these people also, they expect something because they've seen your YouTube videos or I don't know what. So I think it's important. Yeah.
I agree. Thank you very much, Rembrandt Frerichs.
Thank you.
For being here, for playing for us. And all the best for the future.
Thanks.
And see you next time at Jazzahead, I'm sure. And we are here live, getting ready for our final showcase of tonight.